In the quiet corners of the world, even the warm glow of Christmas lights cannot chase away the shadows. Welcome to Shadow Pit Mystery, where the season of joy holds secrets wrapped in chilling suspense. Tonight, we unravel a tale where the holiday cheer meets a dark undercurrent, and every snowflake might conceal a clue. Each moment will challenge your wits as we journey into the heart of a Christmas mystery where the silence is as haunting as it is beautiful. So, grab your cocoa, light your fire, and prepare to step into the unknown. Let's uncover what the holidays have hidden in the shadows. The 12 Days of Terror, a mystery story by Grave Pit Shadows. The snow fell gently upon the sprawling grounds of Phillips Manor, blanketing the estate in a deceptive serenity. Inside, the grand house bustled with preparations for the family's annual 12 days of Christmas celebration, a tradition steeped in extravagance, pride, and this year ominous undertones. Unbeknownst to the Phillips family, their cherished tradition was about to unravel into a chilling series of crimes that would test their resolve and reveal their darkest secrets. The Phillips family had always prided themselves on tradition. Phillips Manor, with its towering spires and intricate stained glass windows, stood as a testament to their legacy, a legacy built on wealth, ambition, and, as some whispered, ruthless cunning. Yet beneath the gilded facade lay secrets as dark as the winter nights. As the first snow of December blanketed the grounds, an uninvited guest stepped from the shadows, intent on bringing those secrets to light this year. The 12 days of Christmas would mark not a celebration, but a reckoning. The estate's longtime caretaker, Charles, often spoke of strange winds that moved through the manor halls as winter approached. Though the family dismissed it as old age ramblings, the staff avoided the west wing after dusk. Rumours of a hidden passage, locked for decades, swirled among the servants, and some whispered that the ghost of Danielle Phillips, the family's most notorious ancestor, still roamed the halls. The festivities began with a lavish dinner, where the family gathered under the glittering chandeliers of the dining hall. Jonna Phillips, the artistic youngest daughter, excused herself early, complaining of a headache. Hours later, her maid discovered her unconscious in her room. Beside her was a half-eaten pear from a decorative fruit arrangement, the partridge motif embroidered on her pillowcase an unsettling coincidence. The doctors confirmed poisoning. Panic rippled through the family as Jonna's condition stabilized, but no one could explain how the poisoned pear had come into her possession. A chilling message was scrawled in lipstick on her mirror. The first falls silent, but the song has just begun. Jonna, barely able to speak, whispered of a shadow she'd seen moving in the corridor just before eating the pear. Her recovery was slow, and the house staff reported strange occurrences, a trail of muddy footprints leading to her room, and faint whispers that seemed to echo through the hallways after dusk. One maid claimed to see the shadow of a man slip into the study, though the room was empty when she checked. The following morning, a commotion erupted in the library. Thomas and Rebecca Phillips, a married couple known for their strained relationship, were accused of scheming against the family. Incriminating letters, bearing their signatures, detailed plans to siphon funds from the estate. Both vehemently denied writing them. Though the accusations lacked proof, the incident deepened the growing mistrust. Later that evening, a pair of turtle dove ornaments went missing from the family's prized collection, only to be found shattered in Thomas and Rebecca's bedroom. Blood smeared across the fragments formed the words, "Love dies first." That night, Rebecca awoke to find a shadowy figure standing at the foot of her bed. When she screamed, the figure vanished, leaving behind a faint scent of smoke. In the morning, claw marks were found scratched into the wooden bed frame, as though something inhuman had been there. The couple began avoiding each other, their mutual distrust deepening the tension within the house. A journal was discovered in the library, its pages filled with cryptic symbols and references to loyalty tested under fire. No one claimed ownership of the book, but its presence unnerved the family. Charles Phillips, the estate's caretaker, was known for his love of the estate's aviary, particularly the rare French hens he personally raised. When the hens were found slaughtered and grotesquely displayed in the greenhouse, Charles vanished. A bloody feather was left pinned to the greenhouse door with a chilling note, "The third shall pay for sins unseen." A search party combed the grounds but found no trace of Charles. That night the greenhouse lights flickered wildly, and the faint sound of wings flapping echoed through the estate, though the aviary was empty. The family huddled together in fear, unsure of what force they were truly dealing with. A window shattered in the greenhouse later that night, and when they investigated, a crude effigy of Charles hung from the rafters, feathers scattered beneath it. Clutched in the effigy's straw hand was a small bloodied note, "Where trust is blind, shadows thrive." The air turned even colder as the family awoke to the sound of an eerie recording playing throughout the estate. The voice mimicked the tune of a Christmas carol, but with dark, mocking lyrics revealing Lydia Phillips's recent bankruptcy. Lydia, the eldest daughter, found the recording device in her study, next to a shattered mirror. Hours later, she was attacked in her room, narrowly escaping serious harm. "4 calling birds!" the intruder had hissed, disappearing into the night. A trail of black feathers led from Lydia's room to the attic, where they found a sinister display. 4 taxidermied birds hanging by their necks, with each bearing a card reading "Confess." In the attic, faint whispers filled the air, and an old phonograph began playing on its own, repeating distorted cries of "Lydia! Lydia!" Among the clutter, Lydia uncovered a locked chest that had belonged to her great-grandmother. Its contents included letters implicating past betrayals between family members, as well as a ledger documenting payments to an unnamed individual. Alfred Phillips, the family patriarch, took pride in his collection of golden rings, symbols of the family's legacy. That evening, his study was ransacked and the rings were gone. Alfred was found slumped over his desk, barely conscious, with bruises around his neck suggesting a violent struggle. A note lay on his desk. "Not all that glitters is gold." Alfred's injury rendered him mute, leaving the family without answers. The following morning, a servant discovered the rings hanging from the branches of a Christmas tree in the foyer. They were tarnished and covered in a sticky red substance that smelled faintly metallic. "Gold for blood" was carved into the tree trunk. That evening, the faint sound of jingling bells could be heard throughout the manor, though no one was carrying them. Later, the family discovered faint scorch marks on the floor near Alfred's desk, as though a small fire had briefly burned there. The tranquility of the estate's grounds was shattered by an explosion in the greenhouse. George Fenton, the greenhouse keeper, had been inspecting the area when a concealed device detonated. The explosion destroyed the geese eggs and left George with severe injuries. Investigators found remnants of a crude timer and a taunting message, "6 geese, no more." That night, the sound of geese honking filled the estate, though no birds remained. Footprints in the snow led to the pond, where they vanished at the water's edge. Later, faint ripples appeared on the pond's surface, as if something unseen was swimming beneath the ice. A fisherman's old net, tangled with weeds, was found near the water, containing an old brass key engraved with a fleur-de-lis. The estate's pond, frozen over and surrounded by snow, became the site of the next horror. Estelle Reed, a close family friend and confidant, was discovered beneath the ice, her body posed to mimic a swan mid-swim. A swan feather rested atop the ice, accompanied by another note, "Elegance meets eternity." Estelle's death sent shockwaves through the family, as she had no known enemies. When her body was removed, the ice beneath her cracked, revealing a carved message: "Dive deeper." Beneath the ice lay a box filled with old family letters that hinted at long-buried betrayals. That evening, the pond froze over once more, but this time the ice seemed to shimmer as if lit from below by ghostly lights. A pair of gloves, wet and torn, were later discovered near the boathouse, with traces of blood staining the leather. The morning broke with eerie silence. Clara Wills, the head maid, was the first to notice something amiss when several staff members failed to report for duty. She found them in the servants' quarters, unconscious but alive, their drinks laced with a powerful sedative. In the centre of the room sat a milk jug, painted with the number 8 in crimson paint. The heavy air carried a faint, sour smell as if the milk had curdled overnight. Clara, ever diligent, reported the incident to Alfred's eldest son, Richard, but as the day wore on, she vanished without a trace. Her apron, torn and splattered with blood, was later found near the barn. A faint sound of laughter echoed from the empty stalls when Richard and a few remaining staff searched for her. On the barn walls, a cryptic message was scrawled in soot: 8 hands silenced, 8 truths buried. Inside the barn, the hay bales were disturbingly rearranged to form the shape of an open hand. In the centre of the palm lay a rusted lockbox, its contents missing. The family now feared the crimes were escalating into something far darker and more personal. Despite the terror gripping the household, the Phillips family pressed forward with their annual Christmas Eve gala. The grand ballroom shimmered with golden light as the chandelier illuminated rows of finely dressed guests. Music from a string quartet filled the room, though there was an underlying tension in the air. Guests whispered rumours of the strange happenings, their eyes flitting toward the Phillips family with suspicion. Isabel Phillips, the vain and vivacious middle daughter, twirled gracefully across the floor, drawing admiration from onlookers. But her moment was cut short when the grand chandelier above her crashed to the ground, shattering into 1,000 shards. Screams filled the air as the guests fled the ballroom. Isabel, though unharmed, stood frozen in shock, her gown torn at the hem. A message scrawled in lipstick on a nearby mirror read, "The Ninth Lady's Final Dance." Later that evening, Isabel's gown, still blood-stained, was found draped over a statue in the courtyard. The statue, depicting Danielle Phillips, had its eyes painted black and a crown of shattered crystal shards. The ballroom lay silent, but faint music continued to play from an untouched piano, each note more discordant than the last. Victor Phillips, the family lawyer and trusted confidant, was found bound and beaten in the gallery. He had been tied to a desecrated family portrait, the word "leap" painted across it in bold red strokes. Around him, torn legal documents lay scattered, revealing disputes over the family's inheritance and hidden debts. Victor, barely conscious, whispered cryptic warnings as the detectives arrived. They know too much. The past, it won't stay buried." Footsteps echoed in the gallery long after Victor was rushed to safety. The painting of Danielle Phillips had been turned to face the wall, her once serene expression now scratched beyond recognition. Nearby, a decaying journal was discovered with pages missing, its remaining entries detailing strange rituals conducted in the manor generations ago. On Christmas morning, the haunting melody of a pipe organ filled the estate. Martin Ashworth, a musician hired for the festivities, was missing. His sheet music, scrawled with cryptic symbols, was found in the music room along with a bloodied pipe. The chilling notes seemed to guide the family to a hidden passage within the estate. The passage led to a secret room filled with photographs of the family, each one marked with red ink. A final note read, "The piper calls the tune, the dancers follow." The air grew heavier as the room hummed with an unnatural vibration, as if it were alive. Shadows flickered across the walls, and one servant swore they heard faint weeping. Inside the secret room was a box containing aged, brittle letters revealing the true history of the Phillips family, a legacy of deceit, betrayal, and a deadly pact made by Danielle Phillips herself. The final day brought the most devastating revelation. Richard Phillips, the eldest son and presumed heir, entered the music room alone, only to trigger a deadly trap. The explosion rocked the manor, shattering windows and leaving Richard severely injured. The message left behind read, "The 12th hour strikes true." As chaos unfolded, the killer attempted to escape. Detectives Mills and Davenport pieced together the evidence, unraveling the family's darkest secrets. The killer was revealed to be John Roberts, the uninvited houseguest who had woven himself into the festivities with ease. John, the illegitimate child of Alfred Phillips, sought revenge for being cast aside and watching his mother suffer in poverty. The 12 days of terror were his twisted way of dismantling the family that had wronged him. As the snow began to fall once more, Mills and Davenport escorted John away, his chilling laughter echoing through the halls. The remaining family members gathered in the grand parlour, their faces pale and their spirits shattered. The once proud Phillips were left to reckon with their sins, each burdened by guilt and loss. As midnight struck, the faint sound of bells echoed through the manor once more. A final whisper seemed to drift through the halls. The song may end, but the shadows remain. And so, as the final piece of the puzzle falls into place, the shadows of this Christmas mystery retreat into the quiet corners once more. But remember, even in the season of joy, not all is as it seems. Sometimes, the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey with Shadow Pit Mystery. Stay safe, stay curious, and may your holiday season be filled with warmth and wonder until we meet again in the shadows.